And I think this story like highlights how hope put in something other than God just fails us. So it's not that we shouldn't hope or we shouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder that hope set in anything other than God is vain.
Welcome back to the Rooted Minds podcast, where we come together as a family to talk about books and our emotions. And in this season, we've been focusing specifically on short stories, and we've already had so much fun talking about some really cool short stories. In this episode, we're going to talk about James Joyce's Araby, and that is going to lead us.
Yeah, Araby is an interesting word, isn't it? It's just the title of a market that this boy in Ireland went to with his aunt one time. But it starts off, and he's in this school. It starts off in this kind of low-key sort of city area that's like not much is happening. It's kind of boring. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know what he's doing with his life, kind of feel. And he and his friend play together. But as it gets to be winter, it gets to be darker. He has less to do and ends up seeing his friend's sister, who he takes a high liking to.
What do you do in the winter months?
He needs some excitement in his life.
But never talks to her until like months later.
In classic boy fashion.
So he just kind of has this thing going in his head, and it's just wild. So at one point, his aunt takes him to this market, to this bazaar, loves it, and as he's there, he's kind of feeling these feelings for this girl, and it's like making him brave. So he feels like he's bearing a chalice through the throng of foes, he says. And
he's imaginative.
He's very imaginative.
Yes.
And so he asks his uncle at one point, "Hey, what if I went to this market?" Because he had this moment when he actually had a conversation with her.
He spoke to her.
He had an actual conversation, and she asks if he's going to the bazaar. He, in the conversation, says, "I'll get you something if I go." So he wants to go. He asks his uncle. He says, "Yes."
You better believe he's going to get there.
When it comes time, he reminds his uncle the day of. He comes home late because he forgot. And he's really frustrated. It's about 8:00 in the evening when he comes home.
So the uncle forgot.
The uncle forgot.
Yes.
And so he finally gets to go because his aunt's really nice and lets him go. He gets his money, gets on the train. It takes forever. He gets there like 10 minutes before 10. Oh. And it's this moment that we want to focus on today mostly, of what he experienced when he got there. So to go back, what did you guys expect based on how it started at the beginning? What did you expect the story to be about?
Well, the name gave me nothing.
Yeah.
I had no context for what Araby was.
Yeah, I know. I thought it could either be a name, or it made me think of like Arabian Nights or something like that, like Araby. I'm like, I don't know what this could be, but I definitely did not expect little boy in Ireland type of
playing in the mud with his bestie.
Yeah.
No, for sure not. So as he goes through this story, and he's really liking this girl, and he finally gets to this market after a series of unfortunate events. Basically, he finally gets there. What did you think of that scene? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, he was already described as such an imaginative kind of kid, so his hopes were so high for this thing. And so, I mean, I kind of was with him. I was expecting this like magical moment of making it to the bazaar.
Making it to the bazaar, finding the perfect gift.
I was
winning
ready for that.
The girl's heart.
Yeah.
That's what you want, right?
I did.
He feels like
it
feels like he like sets himself on this like Arthurian sort of quest, like he's like a knight, and so you like feel the anticipation of it through the entire story, where he's like, he's like, his whole body is like, I need to get to the Araby. But then when he gets there, it's dark. there's only one stall open. There's like no one there.
I think I'd be a little bit upset. Like,
You can just feel this boy's expectations and his dreams being dashed.
mm-hmm.
Kind of.
Well, then he goes up to the one stall that's available, and the person there is kind of like disinterested. Like, you want to buy something? Maybe. And it's like an ornate vase or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, no, that's
I'm
not it.
not buying that.
I don't think he can even afford it either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing there for him to get for the girl.
And it's so helpful, these stories, because they present real life, right? Even though they're in Ireland, we're not. We kind of can identify with this boy who had an expectation. He had these hopes, right? But it just didn't happen the way he thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
So we've experienced that before, right? We've all experienced where we have had unmet expectations. There's been disillusionment, and that's kind of what this is about. We want to explore disillusionment as a theme, and just not only as we see it in the story, but also it's a deeply human experience.
Yeah.
When our hopes collide with reality, and there's this clash, and we like something happens, and we just feel it. So how have you? Like, what is that experience? Not necessarily details, but what is that experience like for you?
And disillusionment is when something turns out different than you expected, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think disillusionment, I've felt that before. Like, even in little things, like when I was a kid, I started to become like afraid of grass because I thought there'd be those little like sticker splinter things. And like, it's when grass looked so like lovely to walk in, and then all of a sudden it's spiky, and I'm like,
attacks you.
It came out of nowhere, And I'm like, oh,
And that's a great point. Sometimes like the disillusionment can be even more painful than the spikes that you experienced at one time, because it's so much like long lasting, and it can stick with you a lot longer than a spiky.
Because it's not a physical pain; it's like a emotional pain.
Yeah, and it can influence your decisions later, change you.
And it's a really like real experience, and like the Bible talks about it too, like in Proverbs where it says, like hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life. And so it's this real like experience where we have this hope or faith in a way, and on the other side of that faith, it doesn't work out. And that's like a hard reality to like come to terms with in a fallen world.
Yes.
That's a good
really
way
good.
to say that.
That's really good.
Thank you.
So
I tried.
there's kind of like two parts of disillusionment, right? There's the part before and then the part after, right? The part where you're dreaming, and then there's the part after where the reality hits. So let's talk about the boy real quick. What did he think he was chasing? Like what does it look like he was actually chasing?
Well, I love how this story is set up, because so much of the story is on the chase, in a sense, setting up the chase.
Yeah.
Because it's this Irish Catholic boy in this, kind of gloomy gray world where nothing is very exciting. It's all mundane, all so same.
Kind of monochrome.
He knows all exactly. That's kind of how you picture in my mind. You picture it kind of like this brownish gray kind of everything. Like his clothes aren't very colorful. Like there's like the Irish Catholic tradition is very like a lot of rules, a lot of tradition, a lot of things that can be very beautiful, but also can be very, to a young boy, I can imagine, like
Magical.
Stifling.
Oh
no, the opposite.
You're right.
Not magical.
Sorry, I was thinking
because
of the
you have
bazaar.
to do the same things over and over.
And we've already seen how imaginative he was.
He's imaginative, but here he is in this place where there's no like I think of Anne Gables. She has scope for the imagination.
Yes, exactly.
She would judge things on whether there was whether this place inspired her imagination or not. And so he's in a place where it's not inspired.
Right.
Until this, and then if you can imagine the picture of the gray and the brown and the gloom.
Yeah.
The literal colorscape.
It is
The
actually so vivid.
with like a Eastern Eastern colors of like the
Yeah.
clothing and the fabrics and the beautiful things and what that might look like all together in one place where you could go explore. Definitely like maybe Arabian Nights kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Like the idea of the bazaar was way more inspiring than the actual place.
Yeah.
But because he just wanted something different.
Yeah.
Okay. So what he actually wanted down kind of underneath was something different.
Something
more.
to
change.
Something
Something more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to be more himself to win this girl.
Yeah.
This girl calls something more out of him.
Yeah.
And
makes
right now
sense.
he just feels like he's not much.
Yeah.
Like in himself, he's not enough to win her.
Wow.
So he needs to go to this, what may have felt like a magical place, to get some present for his girl that might magically make them in some sort of relationship or something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which I found it like pretty interesting in just the literal way that the story is written. Like there's a lot of terms that keep coming up that are like blinds, the literal house blinds, or the curtain is drawn, or veil,
Yes.
or a lot of these words that keep getting repeated in the story of him pursuing this ideal thing. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, surely that's not a coincidence that he says blind like 3 times.
Yeah.
Within like
The
the first couple
building,
paragraphs.
everything is
Yeah.
with the night sky, and that's good.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny because in the magicalness was all in his head. Not funny, but it's interesting to see that. And James Joyce does a good job with kind of giving us a picture of what was happening internally with this boy. And as you get closer to the moment where he finally gets to the bazaar, there's these phrases that Joyce uses. And I was just going to read a couple. I thought they were so funny because he said about the girl, her name was like a summons to all my foolish blood. And I mentioned the chalice thing. I imagined that I bore my chalice safely through a throng of foes, like you singing about the girl. So he's really brave. Or his body was like a harp, and her words and gestures were like fingers running upon the wires. This
Wow.
boy, this boy.
Electricity down bad.
So it gets up to this super heightened magical point, and then it's like, how would you describe this sort of this disillusionment that happens? And what was in your mind the moment that happened?
I can almost see it very cinematically, like you imagine this kid in this place where like there's just dust blowing around and like the scraps of the hint of the idea that he was seeking. That's just all there is. It's this abandoned Western kind of town.
Where's the tumbleweed?
Exactly.
Exactly.
It was not what he dreamed of.
Almost like the plastic bag flying.
Which is even interesting thinking about like the abandoned Western town are usually like gold rush, kind of places. Somewhere you're going to like magically change your fortune. Or
wow,
like an instantaneous, like this will change me.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
And he walks in and
there's no gold.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be changed.
Like we keep using the word like magical, and it's like this idea that something wonderful is going to happen, and that I didn't do.
Yeah.
It just happened to me. Like in his imagination, at the bazaar, with the girl. Like he's wanting this wonderful thing to happen.
Yes. And that's kind of what disillusionment is this wonderful thing, but it's the loss of an illusion that you had kind of made up in your mind. And so it's crazy how he ends this thing. So at the very last, you're kind of like left, to your own thoughts.
It's true.
As he leaves it, because basically one of the things the boy says in the story was, gazing up into the darkness, I saw myself as a creature driven and derided by vanity. So let's talk about that a little bit.
What does derided
First,
mean?
what's derided?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what derided means. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, if someone is like derisive towards another person, they're kind of like mocking or scorning, like they're making fun of. And so sounds like this boy felt like he was being made fun of by his own vanity.
By his own vanity.
That's really
a crazy line.
It's a crazy line. So just briefly, what is vanity then? What would you say? It's kind of a slightly older word as well. So
yeah, I feel like maybe just like his own like self like obsession with this dream or ideal, is kind of like maybe what this is referring to. I think there could be a lot of different ways we define it.
Right.
Yeah. When you talk about someone being vain, sometimes you're talking about them in being self-interested.
Right.
Sometimes when you talk about a vain thing, you're talking about being sort of empty. Some those kind of things.
Yes.
But in the end, he felt mocked and derided. He felt driven first, it says, by that vanity, and then derided by it. And it
really
sort of encapsulates that disillusionment.
Like he was basically shaking his fist at his imagination in a way.
Yeah.
Like you promised me something really good.
Wow.
And I bought in. But it didn't satisfy me.
Yeah.
Which it kind of reminds me, like you were talking earlier about like what he was expecting from the bazaar. There's this like literary trope called like Deus ex machina, which is like basically means like it translates to God from the machine. But the idea is like whenever someone in a story, in a plot, is rescued from their problem, just like magically by some, like godlike figure almost that just appears and the problem goes away and it's all gone. And it's almost like that's what he was expecting, was for him to walk into the bazaar and then the heavens open and the gift falls down and his girl comes in and all this stuff. But instead, that's not what happened. And so he's like you said, shaking his fist at this expectation he had for a savior in a way.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, as we close up, is there any, what kind of life lessons might you draw out from this? That, because like we've said, disillusionment is a very real, very human kind of feeling of experience.
Well, I think to answer your question, I think it's really interesting, this concept of disillusionment, because it's so tied to hope.
Yeah.
And hope is a very valuable thing.
Yeah.
Like hope is arguably one of like the main life forces, that keeps us going, gives us purpose and motivation. It's our hope in God that fuels our faith. And I think this story like highlights how hope put in something other than God just fails us. So it's not that we shouldn't hope or we shouldn't imagine.
Yeah.
It's just a reminder that hope said in anything other than God is vain, if we want to use that word.
And that makes me think of just like how like it says God is love and love never fails. Just that concept of love never failing you, and you putting your hope in that love, and then it's like that love won't ever fail you.
Exactly.
So
it's steady.
Agree.
It's steady and worth trusting.
It's so good. And I see so much in this boy that his identity is at stake here. Like he looks at himself and he judges himself not worthy of this girl.
Yeah.
And he's needing something to redefine his identity, which is an object from this bazaar. Something that will make him mysterious and intriguing and interesting.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't feel interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that just goes along with your idea of putting your hope in something. Putting my hope in being in this place at the right time, with the right money, with the right means.
Right.
Makes me valuable.
Wow.
But it's the opposite.
Yeah.
We're valuable because of who we belong to.
Yeah.
So good.
And that changes everything.
It changes everything.
Exactly.
Wow. Well, so many powerful thoughts coming from the Araby, maybe that we didn't expect, but super powerful. And in just the format of a short story, it's so cool because it's like we don't get a next chapter. And so we don't necessarily get to see what happens to this little boy, but there's an invitation to hope kind of in that sense because his chances aren't over and he has this identity because he was made in the image of God that he doesn't even know about in this moment. So we'd love to hear your thoughts about this story. There's so much depth to it. So leave your thoughts in the comments. Read the story. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thanks again for joining us on the Rooted Minds podcast. If you're enjoying the kinds of discussions we're having, consider joining our learning community, where we teach the arts and have many more discussions like these. But until next time, may you find joy, grace, and peace in the pages you turn.